How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today I'm giving you 7 reasons to call Littleton, Colorado home, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett, and listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around Denver, Colorado, then this is a channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little creative and hopefully educational here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of Denver's most talented realtors. And we are helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person answering your phone calls, answering your texts, answering your emails, there when and if you need me. Now that we have that fun-filled stuff out of the way, let's get to what we're really here for, and that is 7 reasons to call Littleton, Colorado home. All right, so to give you a little background on Littleton, Colorado, located just south of Denver, maybe about 20-25 minutes south of the city. And if you Google Littleton, what you're going to see is the incorporated region of Littleton, whereas the unincorporated region, Littleton, is a very large suburb. So Littleton addresses will stretch much farther west, out to areas like Columbine, way over to Ken Carl to the west. And basically, if you Google Lakewood, where I live, everything south of Lakewood, for the most part, is going to be made up of Littleton. So it's quite a large suburb. Founded in 1890, it was originally farmland. It was originally a farm community, which you're going to see in a lot of communities in and around Denver. There was a lot of agriculture, and that's what most of the land was for. And what you're going to notice is that Littleton is built around the South Platte River. So the South Platte cuts right through Littleton. There's going to be bridges in their downtown area that you cross for the South Platte, a lot of trails around it. So the South Platte made a big part of it, and obviously being farmland, they pulled water from that and continue to do so to this day. Now, the number one reason that you're going to want to call Littleton, Colorado home is that location. Again, being just south of Denver, you could be within 20 to 25 minutes of downtown Denver in certain areas of Littleton, especially if you're around the downtown region. Now, Littleton is a big suburb, as I mentioned, much like Lakewood, where you could be up to 45 minutes from downtown if you're over in that Ken Carl region, which is going to be basically southwest from Denver, and due west, almost said east, due west from downtown Littleton. At the same time, you're pretty close to Denver. You're pretty close to the Denver Tech Center or Greenwood Village, which is another major hub for businesses. And you're also on the west side of town. You have pretty easy access to get into the mountains, especially if you take 285 or Hamden, as locals will call it, but Route 285, which takes you right into the Rockies. So while location is awesome, point number 2 is actually my favorite when it comes to Littleton, and that is downtown, historic Littleton and Main Street. So I like to talk about quintessential, it's the word I use, quintessential downtowns in some of the suburbs of Denver, and then getting into areas like Boulder, Golden, what have you. And Littleton is probably my favorite downtown region. So Main Street, basically coming right off of Santa Fe as you head out of Denver. Santa Fe will run you south into Littleton, and then you can tuck up into downtown. So Main Street is one of the most walkable, couple lanes, one direction roads, heading down, filled with boutiques, coffee shops, restaurants, a lot of mom and pop places, a lot of places to shop. And Littleton has also seen kind of an uptick in art. So you'll see a lot of galleries and different exhibits going on. And this stretches for multiple blocks. So it's got some nice restaurants in it. Nothing like, super fancy, but certainly fancy enough for the downtown area it is. A great place for brunch. The Grand Station, I had to think about it for a second, Grand Station, excellent place for brunch. And so just an amazing place to hang out. And as you cross the river and the bridge, you'll cross the light rail system right into Littleton. You just kind of hit the heart of it. And it's one of those areas that you could spend an entire day in, and it caters to everybody. You can bring your family there, you can be there by yourself, you can be there as a couple, you can be there young, you can be there old. It just kind of fits everybody. And you're talking about a town that was built, again, they started building in 1890, so you still have that historic sense. There's a lot of newer renovation and new buildings, but they still have that touch of history. It's very important to the town of Littleton. The Littleton Historical Museum is a great place to visit for that reason. They have a great railroad museum there, the Rio Grande, Denver and Rio Grande Museum. So that history of their downtown is very important to the community, and you feel it when you're visiting. The third reason I love me some Littleton, and you might want to call it home, is for the different living opportunities or options that you have. So we talk a lot about communities where maybe a lot of the homes were built during a certain period of time, or maybe they have a certain style to them. Littleton genuinely gives you the gamut. You've got a little bit of everything. So you've got your detached homes, your townhomes, your condos, your apartments. You've got places that were built, close to a century ago, everything in between, and then you've got brand new builds. You've got brand new communities, places like Sterling Ranch specifically, which was kind of the first of its kind. It is a smart community. So we talk about planned developments where they plan, all of your amenities, all of the things so you don't have to leave that community. Sterling Ranch took that one step farther. So they put in fiber optic cables. A lot of the homes that were built were already pre-created with smart home technologies. The street lights can be changed colors depending on if you have some type of emergency or situation going on. So this community that is as high tech and modern as you get. So you have this community here, and then you can be into a neighborhood in Littleton that has been around for 80, 90, 100 years, where the lots are bigger and all of the shrubbery, the trees are mature, and again, the schoolhouses have been there for decades upon decades. So if you want a living option, Littleton is going to provide it. And one of the really great things about Littleton, again, we talk about not just the difference in houses, but the difference in living styles. So you could choose a home that's pretty close to downtown Littleton. And it's not quite like city living, but it's a touch bit urban, right? It's a bit more, people walking around, and parking's a little trickier and things like that. Not like downtown Denver, but it's more living in town urban. And then Littleton gets really suburban, right? I mean, you get farther and farther from downtown, you get to a point where you are driving 10, 15, 20 minutes to really get anywhere. So Littleton gives you that full gamut in anything in between, however you like to live. So the number 4 reason to call Littleton home is the open areas, open access, just the beauty of Littleton and all the outdoor activities that you can enjoy. Obviously, being on the west side of town, you're going to see you have the mountains right there. Front Range is right outside your doorstep. But on top of that, Littleton has some really great outdoor activities and outdoor areas to explore. Among the best of the best are going to be Chatfield State Park, one of the bigger reservoirs that Denver has to offer. There's not a lot of water here, so Chatfield is a great place to take your boats. There's a beach if you want to go swimming. There's jet skis out there. My father has gone there fishing. I don't think he's ever caught a fish. So fishing's your thing. You can certainly go there for that as well. But Chatfield's going to be huge for that. Also a great place for camping, biking. They got an amazing dog park that now, as I make this video, I wish I can't fly my drone at a state park, technically, but they have a great dog park there, off leash with some creeks in it and a little pond so the dogs can get after it. But Chatfield, an amazing place to check out. On top of that, check out Roxborough State Park. When I say you're not allowed to fly drones in a park, I might not have done it, but somebody did, and they got this footage. So Roxborough is an incredibly beautiful place. It looks like something out of Jurassic Park. I had never been before. Went there for a golfing outing a couple years ago. Arrowhead Golf Course. I'm probably gonna. I always go to say the wrong place, but Arrowhead Golf Course. And you have these red rocks, as you're seeing from the video right now. These red rocks coming out of the ground and just green, especially in the summer, just green and lush all around it. It's gorgeous, just a phenomenal place to experience. On top of that, there are some amazing homes in that community. Little gated community, if you will, but phenomenal place to consider living if it's an option for you, and a great place to explore. And then the third would be the Highline Canal trailhead. So Highline Canal runs all the way from Aurora all the way to Chatfield. I want to say it's 72 miles or right thereabouts. So great place to bike. You'll see people out running, but that just a great stretch. And you'll see within Littleton, I mentioned earlier the South Platte River, there's a lot of foot traffic and biking along the South Platte, and a lot of things built around the South Platte River. They really take advantage of it. You'll see a lot of rafting, a lot of kayaking. I said hiking, if you want to hike down the South Platte River, but a lot of kayaking. So just outdoor amenities galore in Littleton, really taking advantage of the fact we like to talk about how much we get outside in Colorado, and Littleton really backs that up. You also want to check out the Hudson Gardens. I can't talk about Littleton without mentioning it. I had a buddy get married there once, but a great place for different events, just a beautiful outdoor area to explore. You can go there for a variety of things, but weddings being one of them, not necessarily that you have to wait for a wedding, but a great place to check out is Hudson Gardens. Reason number 5 to call it home, and even if it's not your kids and even if they're not going to school, but Littleton ranks extremely high when it comes to schools. It is consistently in the top 10% in Colorado. It is typically rated near the top as far as Denver, and in recent public school reviews, it was given a 10 out of 10. Not 9.5, not 9.9, it was given 10 out of 10. So a variety of great schools within that community, consistently one of the reasons that Littleton is a more desirable place for people to live. And I'll say this, certainly renting, you're going to want to consider schools if you got kiddos going. And if you are buying a home, even if you don't have children, even if you don't plan on having children, even if you don't plan on your kids going to a school or any of the schools in Littleton, it's still going to be important to you because schools are always going to impact home values. So whether it's Littleton or somewhere else, you want to take that into consideration. Just free information from me to you, take it or leave it. Number 6, Littleton has some great amenities to it. So we talk about downtown, all the boutiques, the coffee shops, the restaurants, the melting pot. If you want to go get some melted cheese and drink way too much wine, I like doing that. But it also has a lot of good areas for shopping, a lot of good areas for eating. Aspen Grove is a very popular place, located maybe 3 to 5 minutes farther south down Santa Fe from downtown Littleton. And within Aspen Grove, you have a lot of different shops to go to, a lot of different stores. There's a Tattered book cover. I always mention that because I love the Tattered book cover. It's my favorite bookstore. Then you have the Alamo Draft House, great movie theater where you can grab some drinks, eat some food, watch your flick. And down in that direction, I don't know if you really consider this amenities because it's restaurants and breweries, but you have Breckenridge Brewery, which makes agave wheat, one of my absolutely favorite beers. But Breckenridge Brewery has a great facility down there, and right in that same area or location, you basically pull into the same parking lot, is Angelo's. They're Southern. Angelo's has a couple different locations. I like to tease Denver about its inability to make good Italian food. Angelo's does a pretty good job. Their food is very tasty, great place to go, and my wife will require that I tell you to try the ribs. We're not big ribs people. She's not a big ribs person, but when we go to Angelo's, she has ribs. So from my wife to you, try the ribs if you go to Angelo's in Littleton. I know some of you are listening to that and you're like, how is Angelo's an amenity? Just trust me on this. So one of the rare areas, the light rail system can be extremely useful for specific areas of town. It's not necessarily just this broad use. But the light rail system from Littleton will take you right into the heart of Denver, and obviously from Denver you can get just about anywhere. The 7th reason, and I got a bonus coming, but the 7th reason is safety. And I will tell anybody, before you move somewhere, I don't care if you're moving from one town to the next, one county to the next, one state to the next, you always want to do your due diligence. You always want to check your stats. You always want to check things out. And you're going to find typically that the more dense population areas, the more crimes you're going to see reported. And Littleton being as big as it is, I'm sure there are more problems in certain areas than others based on that density. But when I talk to people who live there, when I talk to friends, clients, colleagues, strangers on the street, and I ask them among the things that they like most about Littleton, one of the things that is most common is that they feel safe there. And I would support that statement. Having been to Littleton as many times as I have, the different areas of Littleton, whether you're downtown or whether you're into more of the suburb feel of Littleton, you genuinely feel safe. Whether it's just you, it's you and one other person, it's you and your family, it's kids, it's elderly, whatever the case, you just feel good about being there. That is from the people who live there, and again, I'd feel the same way. And to wrap up, I got a little bonus for you. And I had to share this because I had actually gotten some calls about is, where in Colorado should you go if you're thinking about retiring? Where are maybe good potential retiring spots? And Littleton, as recently as 2019, Smart Assets listed Littleton as one of the best places in the nation for people to retire to. Now, I will say this. A lot has changed since 2019. 2020, 2021, the unicorn years of real estate really drove up home prices and affordability in Denver. Affordability was already becoming an issue, and those 2 years really drove this up. But when it comes to retiring, one of the things, and I've heard this from enough people now to agree with it, is that Littleton gives a great livability factor, especially around that downtown area, for people who are retiring, for people who want to have something nearby to be able to do on a consistent basis. Downtown Littleton is filled with things that would allow a retiree to enjoy each day. There's something different that they could do all the time, and then on top of that, you have all your outdoor activities. I will also say that Littleton has one of the best, I believe it's 55 and up residences I've ever seen. I'm going to show you footage of it now, but this building, it's got a pool and it's got great amenities inside. I've talked to some of the clientele, some of the residents. I've talked to some of the residents there. They rave about it, but this is why I'm such a fan of it. It's not like I've spent a lot of time there, but this is why I'm such a fan. So on the first floor, there is a place called the Bacon Social. Now the Bacon Social has a couple locations. I believe two, might have more, but they have a couple locations, and they make all sorts of delicious bacon in all sorts of different ways. And on top of that, obviously, they have a full bar, your beers, your cocktails. So being that it's located on the first floor of this 55 and up community, and listen, I'm 45, so I'm 10 years younger than some of their residents. I'm not talking smack about age. What I am saying is that they have some of the best happy hour / early bird specials on the planet. And it is pretty hilarious to go in and see people taking advantage of both sides, where you got, the young hipsters coming in for some happy hour, and you got, the people from the community coming down to have some early bird special. They might call it happy hour. The hipsters might call it early bird special. I don't know. All I know is that they're enjoying bacon and beverages, and it's beautiful. The 3 Bs. Anyway, that's a bonus of bacon, beverages, and beautiful, and a lot of good reasons to live in Littleton. And I might have missed one. And if I did, by all means, let me know. It's a perfect time to comment, to call me, to text me, to email me, reach out. If you got questions, I got answers, or I've got questions and you have answers. One way or another, we'll get there. Long-winded, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was 7 reasons plus a bonus why you should call Littleton, Colorado home. Until I see you next time, peace.